Hello and welcome to Ruby Jean Reads. I'm Ruby Jean. I like to read. And today we're going to be doing episode 3 of the ABC Reading Challenge. You might be wondering a couple things. Let's start with, what books are we reading today? For sure, books F and book G. Second, you might be wondering,
Ruby, why are we filming the intro on the couch? We haven't done that in a really long time.
There happens to be a wasp in my bedroom, and I am home alone. So for the next 12 hours, until Sebastian comes home, I will not be going into my bedroom. Starting off with book F, which is Foxglove. I read the first book in the series, Belladonna, in episode 1. Spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't seen that one yet. And I have been thinking about this book a lot since I read it, so I am especially excited to be reading Foxglove. Oh, by the way, spoiler free. If you're new here, hello. If I'm doing a reading vlog like this or a reading challenge, it will be spoiler free. If you're new here, this is also Soka, my puppy, my baby girl. I am especially excited for G. This was actually one of the ones that was recommended in my comment section. So that being said, guys, if there are any books that you would like to recommend for me to read in any future episodes of the ABC Reading Challenge, you just have to let me know. Every single book that has been recommended to me, I have done research on. And by all means, I'm just gonna jump into Foxglove. On the front, it says, "Death is her destiny, fate has other plans." Ooh, actually, I already have a theory of what this book's gonna be about based off of something that might have been foreshadowing in book 1. Interesting. I'm also really excited that book 3 of the series does start with a W. It's Wisteria, and I don't know what that is yet because I don't think we've heard that word before in the book series, whereas we know Foxglove, that's the name of the estate, I guess, that she was born in, but Wisteria is not something we've heard before, so I'll be interested to see if they name drop the third book in book 2. I kind of love when authors do that. So by all means, let's start with Foxglove. I've officially gotten to chapter 11 and page 98 of Foxglove, and now I have a lot of thoughts. Totally loving the setup. I must say, I already kind of have a strong prediction for how this is gonna go and end, but I also did for the last book, and I was proven wrong and surprised. So I'm not too confident my prediction's correct, but as for right now, the plot does seem like a little bit predictable. Something I really enjoyed about the first book is that it was one POV. Although I really love multi-POVs, don't get me wrong, love them so much, something that really was relieving about Belladonna was that it wasn't multi-POV, and sometimes that is refreshing when it feels like most books you pick up today are multi-POV. Thankfully though, it is mostly the main character, and there's like a second POV that comes up every couple chapters, so it's not the end of the world. Other thing is, we did finally see the word Wisteria, and it's actually a location. Am I a little annoyed that Foxglove and Wisteria are locations, but Belladonna, the first book, is not a location? A little bit. Am I loving the book? Yes. Do I love when book to book of a trilogy they shift who the main character is? No. I won't say she's the main character. I think Signa is definitely still our main character, but if you guys remember from episode 1, I did have a lot of hesitations for liking Signa. I just feel like her character wasn't fully developed, and this new character is. Like, she's really confident in herself, she has a really strong personality, but not in a way that's like cringy to read, but in a way that's comforting. Like, I know what to expect from this character, and I do find that really enjoyable. So I did make it to part 2, which is actually a little over halfway through the book. I am loving this book. A couple things that I want to correct that I said earlier, because I don't want you to read or not read the book based off something that I said based off of first impression. That's not actually the case. This is a dual POV book, but it is not switching main characters. The new POV actually ends up being like the main character of a side plot, and then the side plot and the main plot actually do like interweave with each other and then like go back to being their own plots here and there. So it's really good, very well done, and I feel like it's a good way for us to get a more well-rounded story. I feel like usually when you see a dual POV and there is romance involved, you're usually getting the main character and the love interest, but that's actually not the case. This follows another girl in the storyline, which I honestly totally love. Also because I really like her as a character. Then also jumping to Signa. I feel so bad that I've been like dragging this girl through the mud for having basically no personality. I do like Signa. I just feel like she's so much of a people pleaser that we don't actually know who she truly is at her core. But I'm starting to see how the author's actually using that to build her character, because her character development thing right now is that she has no identity and she doesn't know who she is. And when I was reading her internal monologue about her identity crisis, I was like, oh my word, it makes so much sense that we don't know who she is because she doesn't even know who she is. Whether or not that was intentional on the author's part, I'm not really sure, but I'm choosing to think it was intentional. I am very thrilled to keep reading this tomorrow. Why is this eye yellow and this eye is silver? Did I just discover foreshadowing on the cover? I think I don't know that means something, but I think that means something. That is bonkers. Look at that. I don't know why, but seeing that made me really want to keep reading. But no, I need to do the dishes and go to bed. Let's jump forward to tomorrow morning and we read before church. Okay. It's the next day. Fun fact, I decided to sleep in and I'm already back from church. So it's quite literally like the afternoon, but we are officially going to be picking up Foxglove. You're probably wondering, Ruby, you're in your room. What happened to the wasp? That's a great question. We don't know. I really did struggle to fall asleep last night because of it, which is probably why I slept in. But my husband got home and we both had like a flip-flop in hand, like going around the room trying to find this wasp. Could not find it anywhere. The only logical conclusion we came to is that it flew into the air vent, which we actually can close. So we did close our air vents. We'll deal with that another day. But for now, at least we're safe. None of us got stung in the middle of the night. But let me tell you, between last night and this morning, I have seen multiple tarantula-esque spiders, as well as my dog, somehow, she found a slug outside, and without me knowing, she brought it inside and I found her playing with it on the carpet. So it's been emotionally a very hard couple hours dealing with all of the lovely critters in my home. But that's not why you're here. You're here to watch me read Foxglove and give spoiler-free opinions. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. I don't really see the point of the name of this book. Like, if anything, Foxglove would have made more sense for the first book to be named Foxglove. Why does this book smell like the beach? This book does kind of smell like how books do after you've been at the beach. Hey baby girl. I love you. I love you. I just want to say I have the most hysterical track record for saying something and then literally it not being true because of the next chapter. I literally just read the first sentence and it's about Foxglove. I take back everything I said about the title not being relevant. Also, another side note worth mentioning, and another reason why I feel a little silly, the whole like two colored eye things is not special. That's literally like one of the things they talk about in the first book that makes her look so unique. It just wasn't discussed yet in the book, but it just came up again in a chapter I just read and I was like, oh, right, she has two different color eyes. Like, that's one of the things that makes her stand out in book one. So I feel a little ridiculous for being so excited and having like a bunch of theories about the multicolored eyes. Nope, I just forgot that detail. Guys, this is why usually when I read a series, I read them all back to back. So we have officially made it to part 3 of Foxglove, and I must say, I fear we have forgotten the original plot. Do I like where this book is going? Absolutely, but I did really enjoy the first plot more because it did feel original, whereas the second plot feels a little cliche. Another option, obviously, is that part 3 finds a way to mix both plots together, which I would really enjoy that, so I do really hope that's what this is. 100% would recommend these in the fall if you're looking for like a good spooky book that's not like a thriller, or if you're just into dark academia books all year round, then I guess these would be really good for spring, because I think this primarily takes place in spring and it has a lot of fun like springy floral themes. Depending on what kind of reader you are, this is either a spring or a fall read. Let's finish Foxglove real quick, put it in the chart, and then I'll tell you all about book G. So I have officially finished Foxglove, and I do think I want to sit with my feelings on this book a little bit longer before I babble about it, because, oh, what am I kidding? Let's babble about it. I'm thinking 3.5 stars, mostly because I can't decide between 3 stars and 4 stars. Here's the thing, the book was good. There are 2 things though that really just aren't sitting right with me, and frankly they're my fault. First things first, usually after I get through that 25% of a book, I like to guess at potential endings, and maybe it's just because I read Sarah J Maas, but I feel like as of recent years my theories have gotten more and more unhinged, which is very fun for me, but it does kind of suck when I'm actually right. I did throw out a super unhinged theory at the beginning of this book, and it ended up being the big plot twist, and because of that, it was not exciting for me. Then on top of that, there's another plot twist in the epilogue that also wasn't really exciting for me, and that I also kind of guessed. It also did feel like a little bit of a throwaway how it came about and how nothing was really done about it. Didn't love that. And I know I said 2 things, but let's make it 3. I feel like this book was really just a transition between book 1 and book 3. The reason why I say that is because they really did set up book 3 to be a really good book, and honestly what I was actually hoping to see in book 2. Also, there has been a huge mystery since literally the prologue of book 1, and it's driven me insane how we have proceeded to just graze over what happened in the prologue. Like, no one's asking questions, no one's curious. And I thought surely in book 2 that would be the problem that we solve, but I think they're going to save it for book 3. If the problem is not solved in book 3, I will riot. But you know what? Let's take a break from that and let's start book G, which is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Simply because the TV show came out earlier this week, so what I want to do is try to read along while I watch the show. Now, as much as I have searched and searched and searched, I have yet to find a guide online about what chapters each episode covers. So I'm gonna have to guess, which I know is kind of dangerous for spoiling things for myself, but I'm gonna be really careful. Like, I'm gonna read the first 25% of the book before I even see episode 1, and then we'll kind of feel it out. And I'm just gonna be a good sport if something gets spoiled for me, because I'm truly doing this to myself. No one's forcing me to do this. I'm doing this for fun. This is still spoiler free, so I'm also not going to be spoiling anything about the show, and I'm going to be really mindful about not showing anything of the show that would be considered a spoiler. But I will give a spoiler free review of the show as well, but more from the mindset of comparing it to the book, because I will say I'm not necessarily a TV show connoisseur, but I am very picky about my books, especially my books that have been adapted to a TV show or a movie. I think I'm just gonna read to the 25% mark and then let's watch the first episode. I just read the prologue of this book and I'm already hooked. Okay, I need to start chapter 1, but oh my word, this is insane. I just finished part 1 of Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I honestly cannot say enough amazing things about this book so far. Super popular girl at school disappears and is assumed to be. Then shortly after, her boyfriend is found to have himself, and there was a bunch of evidence that it was him, so they think that like he did it and then out of guilt took himself out of the picture. Now 2 years have gone by, and there's this basically underclassman, but now she's a senior, but she was an underclassman when all this went down, and she's decided that for her senior capstone, she's going to investigate that murder because she doesn't actually think the boyfriend did it. Words cannot describe how glued to this book I was. I'm torn because the book is so good that I'm dying to watch the TV show to see if the TV show is 1, as good, and 2, if I'm like imagining things the way the show decides to portray them. But then on another note entirely, the book is so good that I don't want to put it down to watch the show. I want to keep reading. So I've decided I'm just gonna watch episode 1 and see where it ends. I hate that it's already 6:30 because I genuinely wish that I could just not go to sleep tonight until this book and this TV show is done. But I don't really plan on pulling an all-nighter when I have work tomorrow, so that's not gonna happen. Episode 1 was phenomenal that I could not resist starting episode 2. I must say I did get about 40 minutes in and then I realized I actually wasn't aware of what was going to happen next, which means I think I'm officially like caught up to areas in the book where I haven't read it yet. So I guess sadly I'm gonna have to take a break from the TV show, but honestly this book is so good that I'm not actually super mad about picking up the book right now. So I am going to start part 2 right now. It is 7:45. And for those of you who are doing the time in your head and you're like, how did you watch 2 45-minute episodes that fast? I do watch on 1.5 speed. I think listening to audiobooks at 3 times speed has kind of messed me up. Like, even when I watch TikToks and stuff, I have to watch them at ×2 speed. Maybe that is a sign of a dopamine addiction. Most likely it is. You know, that's not what we're working on right now. That's a problem for another day. Right now, the problem is I need to find out who in the world killed Andy, and is Peppa gonna figure it out? So I watched last night up until the very end of the episode 5, but I did have to stop a little bit early because I definitely knew that the next thing that was coming up I had not covered yet. So now we have to read the last and final part 3, and then we can watch the rest of the show. Because of the nature of book G, I feel like I haven't talked about the book a lot, nor the actual TV show, so let me just stop and take a minute, get you up to date before we finish this off strong. First off, I'm obsessed with this book. It's already 5 stars for me, and honestly, I don't even really have a theory for who did it. Honestly, the book is so good and so entertaining that I haven't really had time to fixate on who I think the murderer is, and I kind of like it that way. I feel like the issue with Foxglove was that the book was just slow enough that I had a lot of time to think about who possibly is the main culprit. But with this book, it's so fast-paced and I'm so intrigued that I had to take a minute, 75% of the way through the book, to actually go, oh, who do I think the murderer is?
That's bonkers.
Honestly, the book alone is amazing. The TV show alone is amazing. And they're very different, but they honestly did such a good job encapsulating like the vibes, but then also the main plot. I will say that the TV show definitely puts a little bit more fixation on like that teenage romance. And it is so beautifully done. Like, I'm just giggling and smiling the whole time because it's so fun and enjoyable. In the book, you don't really get much of that. Like, there's definitely been hints of it here and there, but nothing bonkers, really. So as for our main differences, first main difference is that there's a more meaningful insight as to why Pippa wants to investigate this murder in the TV show. That is maybe the one thing that fell flat for me in the books, and I feel like the TV show did a really good job making that more of a reveal as to why she feels like she needs to investigate this murder. One of the biggest differences off the bat is that this book takes place in America, but the TV show takes place in Great Britain. I think that does, 1, amazing things for the aesthetics. 2, they have such an amazing lineup of actors. There are a couple things that I'm sad that they left out, side plots that were merged with other plot lines, but in reality, I think it was just to save time. I do really think this could have been an 8-episode TV show instead of 6 if they really wanted to delve more into what the books lays out for the show, but I also understand. So I'm going to start part 3 right now, and I'm going to read as much as I can on my lunch break, which might not be a lot, but we're gonna see what we can do. Yeah, I did not get very far at all, but I will say I did make a mistake. I only really watched the first 10 minutes of episode 5, so I have almost 2 episodes. Soga, calm down. Come here. Why are you playing with your loudest toy? You have not touched that toy all day. And now I'm recording, and now you want to bring it up here to show it to me. Okay, come here. Anywho, so I have 2 episodes now to watch, not 1 like I originally thought. Do you want someone to play tug of war with you? Is that it? I'm like not ready for this experience to be over. I guess it is a trilogy, so I guess it's not really like over, but something about watching the TV show along with the book makes the experience so much more fun. Honestly, I'd highly recommend it, so long as you're not going to get like crazy upset if there's a spoiler. I mean, you can technically use this video as a reference. I don't really want to wait until season 2 comes out to read the rest of the series, so unfortunately that is not going to wait. I've already put a request in for it in my Libby account, so I'll have book 2 in a couple weeks. Unfortunately, it also starts with a G, so I won't be able to read it as part of the ABC reading challenge. But you know, if I read more of the books and I have opinions, I'll let you know my thoughts in later episodes. After severe whiplash and a wide range of emotions, I can officially say that I have finished A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And when I say this might be one of the best murder mystery books I have ever read, I mean that. It was fast-paced, it was fun, it had amazing characters, it had really good side plots. The ending was surprising while not being outlandish. I feel like sometimes murder mysteries feel the need to throw the biggest curveballs at you to have an unexpected ending, but then the endings end up being so unrealistic that the whole book falls flat. That was not the case with this book. Overall, undoubtedly a phenomenal book. I'm going to add to our chart A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and give it a whopping 5 stars. I'm just so happy. Guys, I'm glowing. This is the post 5-star book glow. And now I get to finish this TV show, which also is phenomenal. I really hope they finished the show the same way the book did, because I feel like the book really balanced a surprising ending while also still maintaining a reasonable ending. I can't really show much of the end of the show without spoiling it, but I must say this show was absolutely amazing. They ended it the same as the books, although they did take a couple creative twists here and there, but they stayed true to the original plot. Totally giving the TV show 5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, you should subscribe, but I'm going to include a playlist of all of my favorite YouTube videos that I have ever done. I think that would be something really enjoyable for you guys to watch. And there are a good bit of reading challenges in there if this is your vibe.